just a few big players.
Exactly. And that's really what we're digging into today.
We're doing a deep dive into these concerns about Bitcoin becoming more institutionalized, and we've got a pretty interesting take on what that could mean down the road.
Yeah, we've got some fascinating source material. There's a piece talking about, well, fears of a potential BlackRock-led takeover, believe it or not,
Oh, okay.
and also some insights into a project called APTM. So our mission here is to kind of pull out the key bits on this whole tug of war, decentralization versus corporate influence in crypto, trying to help you understand what's really at stake.
Right. So let's just jump straight in. The main worry highlighted in the source is this idea that Bitcoin is, quote, drifting further into the grip of centralized institutional control.
hmm And the source brings up Vlad Kostai. He hosts the Bitcoin Takeover podcast.
Hmm.
He sketches out this hypothetical scenario where huge firms like BlackRock could potentially stage a takeover of Bitcoin. And the really interesting part is how he thinks it could start
How so?
with the ticker symbol, BTC or
Yeah.
sometimes XBT. He warns they could try to capture that
Hmm.
because, and this is key, the actual Bitcoin software, the consensus rules, they don't enforce the ticker symbol. It's more like a market convention, a social agreement, not hard-coded.
Okay, let's unpack this a little. What would be the motive? Why would a BlackRock want to do that, according to Costia?
Well, he suggests it's strategic. It could be a way to basically convince investors, look, this is the real BTC you should buy, the original one, historically speaking, and maybe steer clear of knockoffs.
Right. Okay. Is there like a real world parallel he points to?
He does. He connects it to the Ethereum split back in 2016. Remember ETH and ETC?
Yeah, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic.
Exactly. So the newer chain, the one that resulted from the fork after the DAO hack, it ended up keeping the main ETH ticker. The original chain, the one that didn't roll back, got assigned ETC.
Even though it was technically the original chain, in a sense.
Right. So Costay's worry builds on that. He suggests a powerful institution like BlackRock could back a new Bitcoin fork. They could theoretically pay users to adopt its new chain, maybe sponsor some fake activity to make it look busy,
Wow.
and basically build momentum until they can declare their version is the real Bitcoin.
That really puts a different spin on institutional adoption. So Castella's bottom line is, this becomes a real risk if Bitcoin becomes too institutionalized, loses that sort of grassroots feel.
Precisely. He says, and I'm quoting roughly here, if Bitcoin loses its fundamental value as a permissionless and unstoppable payment system, meaning anyone can use it, transactions can't be easily blocked if it becomes more like a stonk.
A stonk, right? Like just another corporate-driven asset.
Yeah, driven by speculation more than its core decentralized principles.
Mhm.
Then this kind of brand or ticker hijacking suddenly looks, well, possible. He's also pretty critical of what he terms the suit coiner movement. And he even points to comments like Michael Saylor calling some folks paranoid crypto anarchists for focusing so much on self-custody.
So a real clash of visions there.
Definitely. Which naturally leads us to the other source, looking at projects like APTM. It's presented almost as a direct response to these centralization fears.
An antidote, maybe.
Kind of. APTM is positioned as, quote, the next chapter in real decentralization. They make some pretty bold claims. No gatekeepers, no corporate capture, no centralized coin, no paper trading ETFs.
So ticking all the boxes for the decentralization purists.
Pretty much. They call it the people's coin, something built for builders, backed by action, aiming for a freer future. It's explicitly setting itself against all those points of potential centralization that worry people like Costia.
Right. So putting this all together,
Yeah.
what does this mean for you, the listener? I mean, this deep dive really highlights a fundamental tension, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
It's this push-pull between institutional adoption, which, let's face it, brings money, legitimacy, maybe easier access, and the original sort of cypherpunk ideals of pure decentralization, permissionless access for everyone.
Yeah, it's a critical difference to understand. Adoption versus core principles. And it leads to a final thought, perhaps, for you to chew on.
Go on.
Given all this, what qualities would you personally define as essential for a digital currency to be truly permissionless and unstoppable? What does that actually look like in the future? It's something worth thinking about as this whole digital asset landscape keeps shifting.